Yeah, hi all. Happy to see you all back. So we are going to cover, so this is the second session that we are doing on Introduction to Cybersecurity course. And if any of you were not there for the first session, so can you do a show of hands? How many of you are coming here for the first time? Then I'll give you a brief of what this is about. How many of you are joining this for the first time? Okay, so there are many of them. So this is a support session that we are having to complete a course on Introduction to Cybersecurity by Cisco and then take the NASCOM certification. Okay, so we already had one session covered, which Karthik, our subject matter expert, is going to probably give a quick summary to you, and then we'll give you the link to the last session. You can go through that. For now, just understand this. And then how many, I hope you all have the course link. So Saurabh, please share the course link and the assessment link. If you're quite comfortable in cybersecurity, you can directly go ahead and take the assessment. Otherwise, just brush up, or brush up the course once and just go ahead, take the assessment. Otherwise, go through this plan. We've been having this for some time, last, I think almost 15, 20 days, we've been having a WhatsApp group where we are supporting you with a study plan and a few other tips, etc. And there are few of you who have, few of the people in that support group who have already got certified as well. Okay, so the plan is you either if you're confident, just go ahead, take the assessment. Else, go through the study plan, attend these mentor sessions, and then do the certificate, take the assessment and do the certification. We want all of you to get this certification before we bid goodbye to 2022. So that that's our plan. So Sarah will be sharing the WhatsApp group where we are constantly in touch with the learners of this particular course, the course details as well as the assessment link. And because you have joined this webinar, you will get the previous webinar recording also. So that's in a nutshell what we are trying to do. And thank you for joining at short notice. We had given you very less notice today for joining. So over to you, Karthik. Karthik is an SME in the area, and he had taken a very detailed session last time on the first few modules.
Okay, yes, thank you for introducing me. A very good evening to all of you. And I hope that my voice is loud and clear to everyone for us to understand, right?
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
so, yeah. So a very good evening to all of you. I am here as a cybersecurity from Cisco to provide you can say a support session for in the course of Introduction to Cybersecurity. So I am here for the second day, and on the first day we learned many things. Just to summarize while I share my screen for you guys, we will just summarize what we are going to in this session. So to summarize, on the first day we learned many things like what cybersecurity was and what kind of threats there was. We learned that cybersecurity is a practice that we follow to defend ourselves against digital threats and everything that we are currently facing in our society as we are moving towards digital age, right? And we've learned also many things like what are the different kinds of threats available, what are the different types of attackers we are facing in this digital age. Moving forward, we are now continuing on with what are the different types of attacks, concepts, and techniques that are being used in cybersecurity. So with this module today, we will cover all of those topics, like what are the different techniques that we can that attackers themselves use against us, and what are the different kinds of tricks also that they use. So we will all discuss about these things in this module today. So first, going towards the attacks types. So see, not all the attackers have the agenda in their mind that they are going to attack any target just haphazardly, like they can just select a target and they can attack with their codes and their programs. No, that doesn't happen in that easily, because what an attacker has to go through is a step-by-step program he has to follow. First, what he does is by researching his target, he researches his target very thoroughly to find out a security vulnerability. Now, as also discussed in the previous session, a vulnerability is a kind of a weakness or a flaw, any kind of weak chain link that an attacker can exploit to take advantage of it, so that he can uh, commence his attack. He has to find out that unknown vulnerability that you might have, either in you as a person, either in our human nature. Sometimes we have like a totally trusting nature, sometimes we have a nature that we are very clumsy and we click on foreign links without even checking. That can be called as a vulnerability. There are certain software vulnerabilities that, like, there are bugs in a certain program, there are certain errors in a programming code, there are hardware vulnerabilities available, such as systems are designed in such a way, hardware devices are designed in such a way that they can be copied. For example, there is a very recent attack going on in ATM machines for frauds, where in ATM machines can be there is a certain kind of sniffer that is attached to the ATM card port of the ATM machine. It doesn't even look different. It looks exactly the same as an ATM machine card slot. Okay. And when you insert your ATM card, it captures all of your information and also lets you know it will work exactly the same as the ATM machine. It will make you work your accounts. You can withdraw your money and then go home. But what happened is that additional device on the mouth of the card slot has now captured all of your PIN number, your card number, your CVV number, and everything as well. So that now attacker has the opportunity to also make a transaction like he just has your card in his hand. So that can be called a hardware vulnerability. So there are many types of different vulnerabilities out there that an attacker can take advantage of, and he does so because without finding vulnerabilities, an attacker doesn't attack it, because he knows the attack will going to fail, because there are some security measures right now in this world that are very advanced also. Okay, so to exploit that, exploit an attack, an attacker has to find out security vulnerabilities. Like what kind of vulnerabilities, you might ask? There might be some kinds of categories. We have categorized our security vulnerabilities into many different categories, some of which are like buffer overflow. Whenever data is written beyond the limit of a storage capacity, that is called buffer overflow. For example, uh, you might have noticed, everyone might have noticed that when they buy a new pen drive, like they buy a new pen drive for a whole space of 16 GB, but there is an only usable space of 15 GB, right? 15 point something GB or 14.9 GB or anything. But if you write the data inside of it, if you store data for the whole 16 GB, including those missing portion of the memory, because that missing portion of the memory is, you can say, kept safely, kept hidden from you in case of recovering your files, in case of any errors that might arise in the future. But what you are doing is you are in storing so much information inside of it that you are also using that portion of the area. That can be considered a vulnerability that can create future errors, so that now that pen drive's lock door has been opened and malwares can be inserted inside of it. That creates a vulnerability like buffer overflow. Then there is a vulnerability like non-validated input, because there are many programs out there that don't know, they don't have the coding inside them. Programmers have not programmed them in such a way that they can differentiate between what is our input and what is an attacker's input from the internet. They are unable to differentiate between different kinds of input. So that can be creating a vulnerability. There are race conditions. Whenever there are messages or mails forwarded to each other without a properly ordered event, such as if I write hello, how are you, and then goodbye. There are three messages right now. But in those three messages, the messages are appearing in your page like goodbye, hello, how are you, improper order. That creates a vulnerability that an attacker has an access, can access then this transmission of message and change the data matter inside of it. Weakness in security practices. I have seen in real life this option that many times many corporations and many institutions follow security practices as a whole. They are allowed to, have to do so for the security of their organizational information. But sometimes they don't follow through. They don't follow through with the program and they leave some kind of weaknesses behind. For example, they are implementing security such as implementing routers and security features, security guards, CCTV cameras, but they are not implementing, like leaving a weakness of auditing. They are leaving the weakness of not locking your servers and routers in a safe storage place somewhere else. They are openly accessible to anyone. So that can cause weaknesses in security practices and can cause access control problems, because your equipment, your security equipment, your data equipment, or your network equipment should only be accessible through the IT department of an organization. Not like if I am going to an institution, I can access the routers whenever I want. That should not be the case, because I can be an attacker and I can, if I can access the computer system or the network devices, then any attacker can, right? So that creates a vulnerability. So we have to make sure that these vulnerabilities are found out as soon as possible, and we can uh, disable these vulnerabilities so that an attacker cannot take advantage of it, right? Then we have the attack phase. If an attacker finds out what the vulnerabilities are, then he moves on to create the attack first. Like how does he, what will he attack? And for the attacking process, what type of attack will he use? So the most common type of attack an attacker can use is the malware attack. Now, what malware does is malware stands for malicious software. Okay. So a malicious software or malware is a type of software that an attacker has designed just for the special case of targeting your computer and stealing your information, bypassing your computer, harming your data, destroying data, and such. And there are many malwares across the world created nowadays. Okay, as much there are attackers in the world, there are malwares in the world. But what attackers has done is say, see, there are certain security devices we have. So attacker side, on the attacker side, they have certain malwares that they reuse again and again and again and again. So what we have right now for you in front of you is a list of the most commonly used malwares across the world, such as we have a spyware. A spyware is a type of malware that comes in the form of web extensions. So does the adware also. Spyware and adware are the two different types of malware that work very simultaneously closely with each other, and they come in the form of web extensions. Now, many people download web extensions from their browser store, right? If you're using Google Chrome, then you might be downloading ad blockers or any kind of web extension, VPN, from the Google Web Store. That is a good practice. But sometimes there are children who, in the form of games or anything, they go to third-party websites and they download extensions from there, like some kind of YouTube downloader or some kind of game links and everything. That can cause a problem because these third-party extensions are unverified from the corporation, from the browser company such as Google, and can contain with themselves a spyware and an adware. What adware will do? Adware will randomly pop up advertisements on your browser screen. You will be watching videos on the YouTube, or you will be working on your mail. Suddenly an ad will pop up to disturb you. Not just one, 10 tabs of different types of advertisements will open up so as to disturb your process, slow down your computer and everything. That is a work of adware. Spyware will take this opportunity and steal all of your information in the background, right? That is the work of spyware, to steal your information, your browsing information, your cookies data, related data, your IP addresses and everything, and send it to the attacker. So that is a type of malware attack where spyware and adware works. Bot is a malware where an attacker can send you an attachment and it will hide itself into your computer, linking itself with some kind of event. For example, the event can be like, I am accessing my administrator account. I am suddenly opening up the internet. I am shutting down my computer. In the case of any event, the bot will take action and it will do whatever the attacker wants. For example, an attack to go through, an attacker wants me to gain my administrator access. So whenever I will gain my administrator access, that's where the bot will start working and steal my information. So that is a bot. Ransomware is a very popular type of malware in the industry, the most popular type of malware, because it is solely used by black hat hackers to attack corporations and password protect their own data. For example, if you were be attacked by ransomware, your own every drive of yours, every folder of yours will be password protected. And then when you will be asked for the password, like, I don't know the password, if somebody asks for the password, it will display a message. You have to pay the attacker this amount of ransom money. Then you will be given the security key for the unlocking of your data. Literally, kidnapping happens of your data, and you will be asked for ransom money against that. That is a ransomware. A scareware is also a very popular type of malware that is very fastly spreading through the Indian mass, because we are moving on to the digital age, and through the recent, you can say, last 2-3 years, we have been given the, you can say, freedom and opportunity to use very high speed internet very at a very cheap cost. At first, even it was very free of cost for everyone, the geo internet. But now at a very cheap cost, everyone in India is using smartphones and internet at a very cheap cost, right? So in that case, many of the children out there right now, this is a side effect of COVID, you can say. In the side effect of COVID, even small children who used to go to first class, second class on schools are right now using laptops and using tablets, mobile phones to take online classes, right? So right now in this age, children's people like you, your family members, even our grandmothers and grandfathers are using mobile phones and internet. And scareware is a very popular malware among elderly peoples and children, because what it does is, those who don't have the technical knowledge will be displayed a message such as 40 viruses are being found on your system is being hacked, your system is not working properly, click on this link to download a cleaner, click on this link to download an antivirus, such and such. You will be targeted, you will be threatened with this scary message. In actuality, nothing has happened, but you will be displayed this message, and many people who don't know this IT knowledge and who don't know what has happened in my system will click on the link, and now the malware attack will follow through, right? So that is a scareware. It persuades the user to take an action, right? Then we have rootkit also, that an attacker can use, many hackers use, to take control of a Linux operating system by creating a backdoor into the administrator network. Rootkits are majorly found in not Windows, Linux operating systems. Virus is a type of malware that is mostly found in Windows operating system, because it is popular with the .exe files that are mostly found in softwares and games. So virus and Trojan horse, these are the most two common types of malware in the case of whenever children and mostly students, teenagers, I have seen that mostly when teenagers and students go onto the internet and find pirated games, download pirated games and music and movies in the hopes of having fun. What they don't understand, that these pirated content files can contain Trojan horse and viruses. That because of Trojan horse is a type of malware that disguises itself into your desired operation. So the teenagers might thinking that they are downloading a game, they are downloading a movie file, but instead they are downloading a virus, right? So that's why those are very popular. Worm is a kind of malware where it makes copies of itself, replicating itself to spread onto the system just so that it can fill up space as much as possible, your storage space as much as possible, to make it slow down, make it hang your computer. Man in the middle is a type of malware. It is very popular with scammers nowadays. There are types of scammers that call you on your phone, or there might be, for example, your system might be experiencing, let's take a scenario, your system might be experiencing some issues. Here and there, while roaming around the street, you might find a flyer on the board that flyer contains, anything happens on your computer system, call this number. Okay, you will call this number, there will be a scammer on the line, and he will help you download a software onto your system to resolve that issue. After resolving that issue, he will leave. But you don't know that this software that he is downloading, many times that scammer will not remind you to uninstall that software, and after 2-3 days, that software, it's still working in the background of your computer and stealing information from your computer. That is a man in the middle and man in the mobile type of malware, right? So these are different kinds of malware attack. These are specially created softwares by attackers that help the attacker move on to the attack, right? Now, you might be wondering, how do we find out if these kinds of malwares are already existing in our system or not? Very easy. See, if some diseases infect our body, let's take an example, like if I am infected by typhoid or dengue, what is the what are the things that I will have to find out that I have a disease? I will go to a doctor and a doctor will ask me, how do you know that you have a dengue or typhoid? I will say that I have been having a fever, I have a cough, I cannot move properly, I have very weakness inside my body aches around the body. So these are symptoms that my body produces to find out what disease they have. To fight the disease, my body produces these symptoms. Okay, and by these symptoms, the doctor finds out what diseases it have. Same, a computer system also produces these kinds of symptoms, such as your CPU usage might shoot through the rockets, your computer speed might slow down, your computer will sometimes hang, you will think that my internet in my computer is very slow, but my internet is working in my mobile very fast. Why? Because some program, some malware on behind background is using your computer's internet to send files to the internet to the attacker. There might be many kinds of symptoms. Your files will get deleted, your files will get modified, there will be unknown programs that you won't even know that you have installed on your system, right? If you find any of these symptoms in your computer, then you can expect that you have a malware on your system. The most important tool that I also told in the previous session that you can use now is have a task manager. In your Windows, we have a task manager inside our system, just like you can see on my screen right now. If you are opening up task manager on your Windows 11 right now, I have Windows 11. So I can totally monitor that how much of my CPU, how much of my RAM is being used right now. And I can see what programs are running right now. And in the background as well, it shows me what programs are running in the background of my processes that I can't see even, right? So as you can see right now, on average, 35% of my CPU is being used. And that is very normal. Even if I start playing games on it, it will reach to 80 to 90%, and it is still very normal because they take up a lot of CPU energy. But if I am just watching YouTube videos and it shoots to my CPU usage goes to 100%, I can definitely make sure that yes, this is a work of an attacker. I can find out which type of program is running in the background that taking up too much of my CPU power, and I can right click on it to end task that value. Such as I can right click a process and untask it. I'm not untasking Zoom right now because we are having a session on it. So this is a very important tool you can use to manage, to monitor your processes on your own computer, right? The task manager to find out the symptoms. Then we have a different kind of attack than attackers use is a kind of manipulation. See, a malware attack, before a malware attack, an attacker has to contact you. And to contact you, he has to somehow manipulate you into giving him information or accepting his attack. That manipulation of an individual is called social engineering, where an attacker will call you somehow and talk you in such a way, like either threaten you, either sweet talk you, either give you some kind of reward in case of something, such as like he will give you, there is a scheme going on nowadays, like a KBC call will come to you like, congratulations, 25 lakh reward for you from KBC, please provide your Aadhaar card for verification and such. This is an obvious scam. This is called social engineering, where an attacker will call you and manipulate you into divulging your information. You won't believe, will give you a real life scenario. Just recently, 1 month ago, I got a call from a scammer, and he was manipulating me. He was telling me a lie that my father has told him that my son, that is me, will be giving him money because he is busy right now. And it was a total lie, and I found out, and when I asked him about it, and I threatened him that you are doing wrong, you are scamming people and everything, he cut the call. So this is a kind of a social engineering. You have to find out when, and these types of, to protect yourselves that these kinds of attacks never happen, you have to somehow figure out what are the lies he is telling you about. How to find them out? Start asking questions. Many times, what happens in a social engineering attack, when attacker calls, people don't ask questions. They just believe whatever he's saying, and they just go in yes, 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 and just give out their information. An attacker starts talking and he won't stop until you believe him. That's why you have to ask questions for him. That's where he will lie, and that's where he will fumble up the ball and divulge that yes, he is a scammer. So those are called social engineering attacks. Just like in a Wi-Fi password cracking, to crack your Wi-Fi password, to gain access of your Wi-Fi password, an attacker might do a social engineering attack first and foremost. He will do social engineering, such as he will call you, he will call your neighbors or anything, such as to find out what your password might be, what your Wi-Fi name might be. These kinds of things he will do to find out your information. Then he will do the brute force attack. A brute force type of attack is an attack on your passwords. Many times, what people might do right now, even I can guarantee half of the participants here have the passwords of their Wi-Fi somehow related to their own name, their birth date, or their family name, or anything. I can guarantee it, because people do these kinds of things because they think like, I cannot remember such complicated passwords, so I will create a password that I can remember, my name underscore this number and such and such. Those types of passwords are very easily susceptible to brute force attacks, where what an attacker does is, if he finds out that you have a 6-letter password, 8-letter password, 10-letter password, he will write a script where it will generate many and millions and combinations of every 6-letter alphabet and number words to find out your password. That script computes very fast, and it will take him like 2 to 3 days to find out your password. That is called a brute force attack. Or he can use network sniffing. Network sniffing is when somehow, like, you are texting someone your password for the Wi-Fi on the WhatsApp, to your brother, to your mother, or anything. An attacker can use those floating data in the air, the Wi-Fi signals, to capture that information. He has some kinds of software. There are softwares and hardwares available to sniff that information through the wireless signals to capture that information, and he can find out the password that you have. Right? So there are many different techniques and attacks that an attacker might use, such as a very strong attack an attacker uses nowadays is phishing attack. Phishing, just like a real life phishing, what phishing is a type of attack where an attacker sends you some kind of malicious mail, some kind of mail that is specifically designed to fool you into believing that yes, this mail or message is, you can say, one second, this mail or message is trustworthy, right? That is called a phishing mail. For example, you will get a mail on your mail ID, like you also regard these mails as spam mails. You will somehow find out, yes, these are spam mails. These are some kinds of advertisements from companies. Those are called phishing attacks. Whenever you get some kind of offer in your WhatsApp messages, your phone messages, SMSs, or your mails, like congratulations, great deal on your Samsung mobile phone, in just 100 rupees you will get a Samsung Galaxy Note 5 and such. So these are kinds of phishing mails. They trick their recipient into divulging their information by clicking on the link, by taking advantage of this offer or anything, or they trick the recipient by downloading the attachment file as well. So spear phishing is a type of this attack. Spear phishing is a highly targeted version of the phishing attack, where phishing attack is designed, the phishing mail is designed for the broad audience of 100 to 200 or thousands and millions of people over the internet. Spear phishing mail is designed specifically for a specific target of a company. That mail will be further configured so as to make sure that that person who I'm targeting trusts that mail. Like you might get a mail from your boss, not your actual boss. Your actual boss didn't send any mail or anything, but you will get a mail labeled as your boss's names and everything, and it will have an attachment, and by downloading that attachment you will get attacked. For understanding the purpose of all these attacks that I am telling you right now, and the spear phishing and phishing attack, we have created in Cisco a dramatization video for you guys to watch. I would recommend you guys to please watch this video. By this video's help, what will happen is you'll understand the point of view of an attacker. Like, what does an attacker think? What does an attacker take the steps? How an attack goes through towards a company, and after an attack, what happens even, right? So please, we will watch this video for some times. It's not just a long video. It will take hardly 2-3 minutes, and then we'll continue.
How did you decide to become a hacker?
Well, I'm not really sure what it means to become a hacker. That's like some guy in a hoodie who types really fast and stays up all night writing code and cracking passwords. It's not me. I just spy on people and see what makes them click. It's not a bad job.
Mark Hanning, CEO of Qualicart, set to report earnings after their blockbuster IPO.
So you consider this a job?
I put a lot of work into this. I'm not lazy. It takes research to figure out the key players, learn all about them, their families, their friends, what they care about. You have to understand the company's organization. I get a lot of my information from the sales department because they're always so quick and eager. They're hungry. People trust too easily. They don't look at the details. I do. Details matter. That's what I'm good at. It has to look completely believable. It has to look familiar. This is where research is important. It's not some generic piece of spam. It's an email from their boss with their company's signature. It's written in the voice of the boss. It's what he would say if he were writing this.
What about the malware itself? How does that work?
Somebody else out there already wrote all the code that does the actual attack. I'm just using it in the attachment. My skill is in my ability to get a bunch of people to click on that attachment. I always wonder what it's like when the whole thing unfolds on their end. when the panic sets in.
Please leave your message after the beep.
Hey, this is Rajiv in finance. Call me as soon as you get this. Something's up with my laptop. I can't.
Katie, are you on your way into the office? Something's going on with our file servers.
Karen in HR, our benefits dashboard seems really slow. We're getting calls from users on it. Give me a call when you get this. Joining conference now.
Apparently, there's a malware attack targeting our main.
It's ransomware. They're holding us hostage.
We're locked out of everything. I can't even check my phone. What about the backup?
That will take days.
We need this fixed now. Just pay it. We don't have a choice. We're reporting earnings in 2 hours.
But how do we know
Just
that they'll...
pay it. Put every single person on getting us back up and running. That's the only priority now.
Okay, it's done.
I have the decrypt key. Mark, we have a big problem. The ransomware was just to distract us. They got inside. They got everything. Customer data, financials, everything.
Qualicart is reeling today from the news that hackers have released the personal information of nearly
The
2
NASDAQ
million
closed
customers.
lower today, led by Qualicart, which was down 14% on news that the recent data breach may be far worse than the company
Its stock
originally
fell to a
acknowledged.
new all-time low on news that CEO Mark Hanning is stepping down after what is turning out to be one of the worst breaches of personal information in recent history.
Do you feel bad about releasing the personal information? All the financials? All the money that was lost?
All I did was get the files. I'm not the one that decided to release them. I'm not the one that shorted the stock. Somebody else had their reasons for that. It's above my pay grade. I was paid to do a job, and I did it well. And that's what's expected of anyone, isn't it? Anyway, markets bounce back.
So as we saw in this video, what happened was, as also discussed in the previous sessions, okay, like in the previous session, we discussed about a state-sponsored attacker. A state-sponsored attacker is a person who was hired to do a job by some kind of another country or some corporation to spy or to steal information from another entity. That is a kind of a state-sponsored attacker. In this video, the same thing happened. A state-sponsored attacker attacked by the use of a spear phishing attack into a company, pretending to be the CEO of the company. He sent a mail with the malicious attachment of a ransomware. And when the people of the company clicked on the attachment, the ransomware spread onto the network and locked every backup, every information, every data. And as long as the ransomware was inside the network, pretending to lock all the data, the attacker was also using a spyware to steal the information from the background. And after the attack has been done, after the attacker has been paid the amount even, she decided to leak the data to the other company, and the other company decided to leak all the financial information, the client information onto the net, so as to bring the stock down of the first company. So that is called, you can say, an attacker. By this video, I hope many people might now understand the point of view of an attacker, like what are the steps that he takes and such. Now, if we understand the different types of that, that was the motive of mine, to let you know the point of view. If you understand what type of attack, where the attack comes from, how the attack comes from, you will be able to protect yourselves from that. Okay, you can take steps to protect yourselves. Now, I think many people will always double check where the mail is coming from, even before clicking any link or downloading any attachment from a mail. So yes, that is a kind of a very good technique to follow, and you can be sure to protect yourselves from that. The other type of attack that we can take a look at is a DOS attack. DOS is short for denial of service. Denial of service, what happens? Suppose tomorrow it is announced that the CBSE result of 10th grade, 10th class is announced for tomorrow, okay, will be launched. So tomorrow, 10 o'clock, the result will get, tomorrow 10 o'clock, the result will be announced on the internet. It won't be even 1 minute. On 10 o'clock, 1 minute, tens of thousands of students will go online to check the result. You can be very sure that many students will get an error on the website. I think many of you might even be remembering your own childhood days when you might be experiencing some kind of these issues. Like when you check your result online from the CBSE, sometimes what happens is the site will just stuck on loading. Your no result will be shown, just site will just go on loading and loading and loading and loading. Sometimes it shows server error, server down. These kinds of things happens because the server is having a vulnerability in itself. The server is unable to handle such large amounts of data at very small time frame. What happens is unintentionally a DOS attack happens. Okay, a DOS is denial of service, where a server or any kind of server is sent such an enormous amount of data in such a rate that it cannot handle the information, and it will start slowing down the client's connection. That is what a DOS attack looks like. Sometimes the attack, the quantity of information is so large that what happens that this information crashes the server in itself, and the server goes down for a few hours and minutes. I think recently many of the people here have experienced that. Recently what happened is that the WhatsApp server shut down for a few hours of all over the world. No one was able to access the internet, send messages, receive messages for at least 1 to 2 hours all over the world. It happened. So we don't know if it was the if it was the result of some kind of server error, server down, or it might have been a DOS attack that they might be hiding from us, right? So that is a kind of an attack that we are discussing right now, a DOS attack, right? This happens when a server crashes down because of a very large amount of data that is sent to them. Then we have an attack called SEO poisoning. SEO stands for search engine optimization. Now what happens is, like for example, you want to go to twitter.com. You go to the Google search engine and you type in Twitter. So for that Twitter word, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of search results on Google, right? What happens? The first 5 results only you look at. Every people 100 times, 100% of the times, people look at only 5 to 6 top results on the Google search and will ignore even the second, third to the 100 pages after it. Won't even look at it, right? So that first to 5 points, the first to 5 top search results are the ranking board of a Google search engine, that these are the very true to the subject that you might be looking for. What an attacker does in SEO poisoning is, first he will create a copy of a popular website. It might be a banking website, it might be the social media website. He will create an exact replica of that website. Then he will attack your web browser with that website. Okay, so that whenever you search twitter.com or SBI online, PNB online, instead of getting the real actual website on the top 5 results, you will get the fake link to the copied, to the fake imposter website of made by the attacker on that first 5 links. And many people, what they do, I think 80% of the time when people search on Google, they don't look at the Google search link. For example, if I might show you, once again, I am sharing my screen. If I might show you, if I search on Google right now, google.com. If I search on Google like Facebook, right? Many times people, what they do is just click on the link here or click on this story, click on this here, but they forget to look at this link here, that whatever they click on, you will go to this website, this URL bar. Many people ignore this link to check if they are going to the actual website actual https www.facebook.com, Facebook, which has 2 O's inside of it, or they are going to a fake website which has only 1 O or 3 O's inside of it. People don't look at the details, as I was said in the video that you saw before that, right? People don't look at details. That's why attacks happen in today's world. Otherwise, no attack would have happened. So that is called an SEO poisoning attack. Now, coming to the end of today's chapter, what we have is a cybersecurity landscape where an attacker creates a blended attack. An attacker won't even attack you with like just a ransomware, just a virus, just a phishing attack. No, he uses multiple techniques. As you saw in the video itself, he uses multiple techniques to compromise a target. He will first use social engineering to gather the information. He will first then create a malware. By combining 2 or 3 different malwares, he will create an exploit that is for his own requirement, that is based on the target he is attacking. Then he will attack by using phishing schemes or spams or any kind of social engineering mails, man in the mail, and such, DOS attacks, whatever. So he creates a blended attack by using multiple hybrids of mix and match combinations of different attacks, different malwares, and such. That is called a blended attack, which an attacker creates just for the purpose of targeting a person. Okay. Then we have the impact reduction. Now, how do we reduce this impact, reduce the threat of being attacked, reduce the threat of such as that I might not be attacked in the future? And if I am attacked somehow today, what can I do now? First and foremost, people, you have to communicate the issue. Many times what I have seen in my experience is that people don't communicate whenever an attack happens, and they are not sincere or accountable for it. If I'm talking about the reality, if a student is somehow responsible for going into a certain website and that website is responsible for spreading the malware into the computer lab, that student will now hide itself because of the guilt or because of the fear of being punished. That student will now hide the details of where did he go, how did this attack happen, what did he do, or anything. He won't even tell the teachers that a malware has been found on the system or not. He will just keep quiet and leave. That is how not your impact can be reduced. It spreads. The impact spreads more and more. So first and foremost, communicate the issue, be sincere and accountable, and then provide details so that your IT department, your cybersecurity specialist can help you to reduce the impact, to contain the impact and get rid of the infection. If he can't, if you are unable to provide the details, he won't be able to understand the cause where the breach come from, why the breach is happening. And if you won't be able to understand that, he won't be able to take steps to avoid a similar breach in the future. So make sure to provide details so that he can take steps. He can ensure all systems are clean of the malware, and then educate on how to never happen again. So such as I am educating you guys, so we can educate people, employees, partners, students, that this kind of thing happens because of this and it should not happen in the future. So please don't do this. Right? This is how we can reduce the impact of an attack. So to summarize, today we learned about different kinds of security vulnerabilities we have, how a security vulnerability is exploited by the use of social engineering. We learned about different malwares, their symptoms, their methods of infiltration, and we also discussed about what is a blended attack. Right? So now I'm taking some queries because we have reached the end of the topic. Such as Sunil is asking, Karthik, how can we check any virus or background software is running? First and foremost, to defend ourselves against viruses or any kind of malware, we install anti-malwares in our systems. Even if in today's world, even if you don't install anti-malwares in your systems, every Windows 11 system has the feature of Windows security inside of it. So it is inbuilt in your Windows. It comes by default in your Windows 10 and Windows 11, and it has the ability of protecting your computer from malwares and viruses. If there is a virus inside your system, it will automatically detect it and it will show it to you by showing you the notification that this is a file that contains a malware, and I won't give you the access of it unless or until you decide to delete it. Right? So make sure that this security feature, this defender of yours that is embedded into the system, is updated every time. And if you are not trusting this, you can install the third-party apps such as Quick Heal, Kaspersky, Norton, AVG. There are various anti-malwares out there which you can use to protect yourself from malware. If those softwares you have in your system, no malware will ever attack your system ever, because it automatically detects it. It works like a radar 24/7. As long as your computer is running, antivirus is running. It detects, stops the attack, captures it in a lockbox, and unless or until you decide to delete it or keep it in a lockbox forever, it's up to your preference. Okay, so that is a solution you can use. Someone is asking which antivirus or anti-malware or system security is best for Windows. So there are many solutions as well. Either if you want a cheap solution or free version, you can say free solution. If you don't want to spend money on it, then Windows security is a very good option for you. That is inbuilt. You just have to make sure it is updated every time an update or patch comes along. But if you can afford something, if you are able to spend some money, I highly advise you to go for Quick Heal, or you can go for Norton, and you can go for Kaspersky as well. These three are very good recommendations from me. You can buy and purchase a enterprise version of them, just so because the enterprise version protects you from all malwares, not just from virus or spyware. Okay. What about Bitdefender? See, there are many softwares available. Okay, there are many anti-malwares available as well. I'm not talking about what about this, what about AVG, what about Avast, and what about whatever. There are many anti-malwares available, but there are some companies, just like there are many mobile companies out there. There is Nokia, Samsung, Xiaomi, Motorola, LG, and what. But there are some companies that you are comfortable in using these sub companies better, right? So that is why I recommend those. Okay. And someone is asking, feel antiviruses may also cause system slowness. Understand if your computer, that's why I told you, if your computer is unable to, you can say it is not highly configured system, if it is not having enough power, don't install any third-party malwares. Just make sure that your system security, the Windows security module that is already embedded in it, is updated, and it is a very good solution for you then. Okay. How can we prevent this in case of Android mobile hacks? In case of Android mobile hacks, the software versions that I told you, the anti-malware versions, such as the Quick Heal version, the Kaspersky AVG, there are mobile Android versions of the same software available as well. If you can download it from the Play Store. The same Quick Heal anti-malware, Kaspersky anti-malware can be downloaded from Play Store to prevent any kind of mobile Android attacks as well. What if a system is working too slow and I thought is happening due to Windows license error? So Windows license error won't slow down your system. Okay. What Windows license will do is that if your license is expired or if your Windows license creates error, it will block certain applications from working, or it will block certain configurations for you to do as well. But it won't cause a slowing issue. Windows will slow down. Either your CPU usage will get very high enough, or your system is very overcrowded with information. Those are the two cases of system slowing down. Okay. So Windows 10 Windows Defender is also like Windows Security, or is different? Yes, in Windows 10 it is named Windows Defender, and in Windows 11 it's called Windows Security. Those are the same thing. So how do these antiviruses works? These are specially created software just for the purpose of these things. Okay, so we don't know how these works, because to know how these works, we need to understand software engineering, we need to understand ethical hacking and such. But they are specially created software that searches for harmful malwares and harmful files and programs. Okay. How does blended attack works? Any real-time examples? So a real-time example, as I showed you in the video, you can take this video. I can, if you search for this video on the online, you can search for Cisco anatomy of an attack. There are various videos available that can show you a real-time example of how an attack happens. How does a blended attack happens? Okay, so you can use those videos as an example of any real-time attack. If I were to give you a real-time attack, there was an attack called, you can say, if you know about the blue whale application, if you have heard about the recent, there was a time where an attack from the blue whale application happened, where people were committing, there were deaths happening, people committing suicides over that. That's why, because the blue whale application uses a malware called Trojan horse, spyware, and ransomware. These three malwares were combined into an application called the blue whale app, where people were taken advantage of their information. The attacker stole their information and send it to the dark net and dark web, and then blackmailed people for this information to commence the attack. So you can take that blended attack as an example. Okay. So any other queries? I will take one more query after that. I personally saw a person attacked with ransomware, and his files were encrypted and show the file preview asking to pay for decrypting. Here already installed it. Even though they can't solve, they read all the file formatting into the work and solution to create for encrypting ransomware issue. So if a system is encrypted through the use of ransomware, great question, Sridhar. So if a system is encrypted through the use of ransomware, then what we can do? There is no option for you. That's why we advise everyone to create backups. Okay, always create backups for all of your personal information and encrypt your files in the forefront. Okay, even if there is a option in the third module, in the next session we will discuss, I will teach you how to encrypt your most important files, so that even in the case that an attacker steals your information, he won't be able to read the files, he won't be able to even open up the files. So you can use that. And to protect your files in case of deletion and everything, there is an only option of creating backups. And that antivirus is to be updated also. Okay, if your antivirus is updated enough, if your antivirus is very good, then it will detect the ransomware before the ransomware has a chance to activate itself. Okay, so that you can do. Make sure that all of your devices and softwares are updated. Okay, many of the times people install the best softwares, but they forget to update the softwares, because updating keeps them patched with new features and previous bugs will be removed. Okay. So that you can use. Is dark web illegal in India? Obviously, dark web is illegal everywhere, not just in India. Okay. And AIM server has been cannot not be revived by ethical hacking. See, ethical hacking doesn't help in reviving anything. Okay, there are some times where a master cybersecurity specialist fails to resolve the issue and recover the data, because the attacker was more advanced and he deleted all the information permanently. But ethical hacking helps you to capture that person, the criminal, and fight back the attackers in their own field. That's why we have the field of ethical hacking nowadays. Okay, this is just like, you can say, hacking and ethical hacking is just like the field of thieves and police fighting each other for a long time. Okay, so with that, I think today's time is already gone over limit, and I will close, or you can say end my session for today. Everything that has been taught today, if you want to revise, we will be sure in the future to provide you the recording of this session and in the previous session through the use of a YouTube video link. You will be received that. You can take note of it. You can revise all the topics to complete your certification in the future.
Okay. Thank you so much, Karthik, for such nice insights about chapters of the cybersecurity course. So all of you, please complete the 3 chapters at least by the time we meet on 8th of December. And we will be covering the further aspects of the course in the 8th session. So again, thank you so much for joining in, and we'll be sharing the necessary details with you via email and WhatsApp as well. So again, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Joining in. Okay.
Bye.
Bye. Take care.